source code and the name, of course, of this class if it's provided here. In the new version, it's not needed to put this. So this is a change. But it's no problem to write the name of the class. It could be just class or text. This is object, yes, so class. Sorry, what else? Okay. So, when we want to log something, we can create this final field associated with the logger, the instance. Okay. And then, if you want to log something, you can use method warn, fatal, error. Okay. Because there are some different levels of logging. Warn is just for warning, so log.warn we can call it, and this is a string that will be logged using this warn level. When I run it, you will see there's a problem that this logger system is not configured properly. It's true. And there are two approaches. First approach is to use this method, basic configurator .configure. All default settings for logger will be created automatically by this method. This is also static method. So in the second example, here, I can use it. So this is the same. This is the use of configure method for basic configuration, and then different logging. Logger is here the name of the logger. Okay. Finally, it's better if we want not to change this association reference to object. So could be final is better, I think. Info trace debug error fatal, and you will see this is just a text, this is info, different levels. You can run it, and you will see how the information is logged. From info, trace is ignored, then is debug, error, and fatal, and also info, and this is a text from this system out print line. So you will see that the basic configurator .configure, this method, create default target for logging system is a console, and here is the number. Then you can see main is the method. Then is the class from this, and this is a text. Entering application trace, debug error fatal.
What is that?
Because there are levels in the logging system, it is in my presentation, I will show you, but generally we can, the upper layer is fatal. Below is error, warning, info debug, and trace. So trace is on the bottom. So we can change the level.
Yes, okay.
You can see this is a better example because using basic configurator is good, but not enough. So much better is to use, I will show you. Example, this is the same. So in this part, second part, it is just one method, something like that. Probably it works. Okay, so you can see another structure. It is my definition of it. There is no basic configurator here, but in our directory, okay, properties, where is it? Okay, this is the price. So I can go to this directory. It's not good to use spaces sometimes. Okay, so you can see maybe it's also important thing when your project is created in Eclipse, you can choose two approaches for storing files. First is to keep everything in the same directory, the same folder. The second is to keep separately for binaries, bin, and for sources, SRC. So sources are here, and compact version is here. But when we go to this bin directory, you will see log4j properties. This is a configuration for log4j. It's my configuration, so you will see how it looks like. Okay. So here you can see what is the most important. This is the most important part. Log4j.root-logger equals info, file, stdout. What is info? Info is default level for all. You can treat it as a filter. So if you write trace, like here, it is ignored because info is starting level. Okay? Everything below info will be skipped. Okay? It is just main filter. So you can imagine that information as a stream goes to the logger, it's filter, and now you can see like T in Unix. Okay, so information is sent to file and stdout. What is file and stdout? Is our name for target. To define file, I have to use something like that. log4j.appender.file, and this is definition what file means as a target. The same, log4j.appender, it's obligatory, .stdout. So I define two targets. So at the same time, the information is sent both to stdout target and to file target. What is the meaning of this target is after equals sign. org.apache.log4j.console appender. It means that all the time when I'm using stdout, it means that it is console appender. So the information will be sent to console. Next line. This is the same because it's a definition for stdout. Dot target means what is kind of console, what stream will be used. As default, system.out, but we can change to another like system.r. It must be print stream. So r. It could be I can save it, I can run it, and because you know that in Eclipse system.r means red color text, so now the logger uses the red text because of system.r. So I can change to out. Okay, run it again, and now it's still back to system.out as a print stream. Then is a threshold. This information about another feature, but you can go and you can see. Okay. Then is information about pattern. and the structure. So I can change one by another. Sorry, not this line. Okay. Run it again. And you will see different pattern for storing information. This information is explained in documentation. One means D, absolute, P, C, etc. So it's not, it doesn't make sense to remember all this meaning, like in date, in definition. It's just a pattern, yes? So you should know, you can guess that YYM, what is meaning day, okay? It's normal, hours, minutes, seconds, but it's up to you. You can use lines, like here, 17, you can compare 17. Debug is also ignored in this. Then it's 19, 20, 21. Okay?
Can I ask something?
Yes?
Why we have to use this and cannot it? I think that this is just a message that sends the programmer to the user. What is the main job of the logger?
For debugging.
For debugging.
Important. Yes, because
it's just only messages that you send to the user.
Yes, it's a logging is just a message information that is sometimes needed. You can expect some value for testing purpose, yes? But this value should be, and you can write into the code. You can use trace level, and then after you finish the application, you can put the level into the higher, and this information will be skipped. So if you want to test something, you expect some value. Some students, some people just add system out print line to show what will happen in this line. It doesn't make sense. It's much better to replace it by logger, and you can change the level, and you can ignore everything. You can put off here, where's info. It means that all logging system will switch off. Okay, so you will not see.
Because we use the system out print to debug.
Yes, so it's not good. It's not recommended. Much better is to use files. You can use also SQLite to log something. You can use in other utilities. There are many different targets. So files is much better, and you can see here information that there's just file appender and rolling file appender. I prefer a rolling file appender because it means that I have main file that is called debug.log. Information is stored. If this file size is over 1 megabytes, this is a limit, max file size, this file is replaced. Backup index here is 2, so you can expect debug.log 1, then debug.log 2, and everything is changed. Okay? Okay. And so the newest version is stored in debug.log, older in debug.log 1, and the oldest in debug.log 2. If and the last file will be removed because it's rolling approach. Okay, so we'll switch to another. So maximum we can expect 3 megabytes. Of course, we can change to 60 megabytes per file. We can have more backups for this log, for debug log. This is also a pattern, and this is threshold is a filter per appender. So this is a first filter, and this is another filter. But you can see, you can go to this file. The debug log is stored here. So you can see information is stored. Okay. some of exception, and it is in this file. I will show you. Okay, date with seconds, line number, and you can see fatal info 1. Everything except trace, but the trace is a filter, is available. Okay, just sorry. Trace is here, but info is the filter that is above. So it means that is the first filter. So I can want to log trace, I can log to use debug, but info is over this. So this information is not logged. So I can switch to trace here. Trace. Now I can run, and debug is here, not trace, because debug is the level for this. So it's the first filter, and this is a separate filter per target. So I can, if for instance, you can imagine that we don't want to have on the console debug, but only errors. So errors and fatal. Okay? It is good solution, or error and fatal is shown on the console, whilst when we compare it with this, we can see everything. Okay, info debug 1, fatal because of this settings of the second target.
The levels is that what I see, fatal error, warn, debug, info, and trace.
Yeah.
This is the level.
Okay, first is trace. After this is, okay, I remember, debug, info, warn, error, and fatal. You don't need to use all of them, okay? But it's up to you. Okay, we can guess what does it mean, warn and error, but info, trace, it's up to you. Trace is just information, it could be per line. Variable value, expected, and what is a real value to compare something, okay? If you create an application that could access some resources and you think that this value should be, but it's completely different, it's good to use trace because it's a very lower level. But you can see that basic configurator skipped trace, because trace is for logging everything. Much better, of course, for your program is to use error and fatal. Warn, okay, you expect some value, but something happens strange, so warn is good. Debug is enough for us, but info, trace, and debug, so it's not so commonly used for logging. I don't remember, but the trace was added to the version 1.15 probably to add another level. Of course, generally you can create your own level also. So, because a level is the class defined in log4j, log4j package. So you can create your own level. To be sure that logging system is switched off, you can put into log4j.property file for main filter just off. It means that this filter is just skipped. Okay. What is interesting maybe in this log4j property, that sometimes we can create good definition for our target, but we decide not to use it. So that it's very easy because we don't need to put the name of the target here. So this is just main thing that will happen. Main filter, first filter, then targets, use target per us, and if you want to create some good structure for maybe logging in SQLite or another MySQL, and sometimes you don't want to use it, you can just remove from here. Okay, what else? So my suggestion for you is to use this logger, and you can go to another package. I can show you. Okay, maybe configuration also is important, so you can. Okay, but I will show you my presentation later. Swing threads, before threads, I will show you databases.1. You can concentrate on SQLite, it's better because it's just a file. Okay, are you familiar with GDBC?
Sorry. Why do you prefer the logger that you show us over the default logger of Android?
Because, how to say, I prefer many things from Apache. In my opinion, it's much better tested by many users and used in different systems, not only by Oracle programmers also. Okay, logging system created by Sun was not so efficient, so our Apache decided to create their own system for logging. And the system is used in every Apache application. So it's really good tested, and it must be efficient. Okay? So it's my decision to choose, but of course you don't need. You can use maybe less popular system. But Apache is really good tested, used in many different projects. So I can say that it's a good idea to use the things that are better tested than just existing. Okay? But it's more my approach, and you can have completely different. So it's up to you. I can recommend Log4j from Apache. Okay, the same for parsing, but later. I prefer a really good parser JSON. You can use some tools that are available in Oracle structure of Java, but JSON is a good choice for parsing now. I use Jericho sometimes, but JSON is now commonly used as parsing system. It's really good. Now it's better than it was some years ago. So for parsing, I can recommend JSON. For logging, Log4j Apache. Of course, for SQLite, you can see how to use SQLite maybe. Oh my goodness! First, you can go here, properties. Maybe not here. It should be in line, yes. So, you should download the GDBC for SQLite implementation. In this, I will send you these exercises also to test it. I will have access to internet. So, okay, good idea is to use this version of SQLite. There are different implementations of GDBC for SQLite, but some projects started and they are not under development now, so it's not a good idea. So there are different changes in this. So I can recommend one version of GDBC for SQLite and describe exercises. But idea is, this is the class that will be used for GDBC. So GDBC is part of GDBC is stored in, it is a package stored in JDK, and we can use it, but it must be connected to native implementation per SQLite, per special vendor. In this case, it's SQLite. The same is for MySQL. It's another driver, but it's the same class that is the implementation of GDBC for special database management system. Okay, so the idea is to find the class. So we are calling this method class for name. If the exception is from, it means that class was not found. So when we are in this line, it means that driver was found. So we can go further. Driver was found successfully. I have it connected. How to do that? We can go to my package. We can see build path, configure build path. And in configure build path in libraries, you can see this is default Java Standard Edition 8, the same like you downloaded yesterday. And this is SQLite. Here you can associate sources or Javadoc. The same here. You can associate when you want not to download documentation all the time, you're using some application, the best idea is to choose to download somewhere at your computer. The best is in the same directory as you installed yesterday Javadoc, but in many operating systems it's not the same, like on Macintosh, but you can use Javadoc location here and it find Javadoc location path. It could be archive sometimes, .jar. In many cases also it's available. Validate is very good because you can see if it really is a documentation, not just another page. If it's validated, you could be sure that documentation is available for iClips and you can use it. Documentation is used when you over time going over some name of the class or method, yes? So documentation is shown. Okay, so first of all, we can find driver. Second is to connect. So because it's not MySQL, but it's just a file. So this file is the file where all data or tables, information about users and everything, views, are stored. File.db. Of course, you can change this name. It's the name of the file. So, driver manager, get connection, and this is the path to resources. For SQLite, it looks another, because we can use GDBC MySQL, the address of the server, login and password for MySQL. For SQLite, it's much faster. So if you want to create just database locally on your smartphone, like in Android or in iPhones, all these mobile systems use SQLite for storing contacts, for storing any data. So SQLite is really good for this usage. Of course, it's not really high with efficiency. So if you want to create something more efficient, you should use Postgres, Oracle, maybe, or MySQL. But just for personal usage, SQLite is really good. Okay, so go back. So I'm here. So first of all, finding a driver. Second is connection. Connection is Java SQL.connection. Okay? Connection driver manager get connection. And this driver manager will use the driver of SQLite, because it is here defined. GDBC SQLite. You can see that it's kind of protocol, GDBC, and GDBC will use SQLite. This GDBC. And this is information that will be sent to driver of SQLite location of the file. Of course, the same situation, if you are in that line, it means that connection was successful. If not, get connection will throw SQL exception. You can see URL, a database of the form GDBC subprotocol. In our case, subprotocol is SQLite as I said. Okay.
Can I ask you a question? For this example that you print the exception, the system error was not better, like you said, to use a logger?
Of course.
It's just an example.
It is, yes, this is just simple example. I concentrate only on SQLite here. But if you want to combine, it's much better. So my recommendation is also that you can use logger, and in logging you can log into SQLite some data also. It's possible, because it's a GDBC appender also available in SQLite, in log4j. Okay, so driver, connection, and if the connection is successful, so connection is not equals null, because we are after this line, we can use it to do something here. In this place, when all actions on database is finished, we should close connection. Connection was closed. Sometimes, of course, could be some problems with that, so we can see the error here. So connection was established here, and connection was closed. This is info, so of course, its next step is to replace it by logging on info level. It is just information for us what happened when the stage was done successfully. Okay, and there are some another example. So we know what is before this comment and what is after this comment, and now we can create something in the database. So if we want to create something, we can use just statement, object. Statement, create statement on connection. So we are connected to database, then we can create statement by calling create statement method on that connection statement. If everything is okay, we are here, then we can on the statement use execute update. Execute update is for just for any operation like creating some structure of a database or removing tables, etc. So everything is here. So drop table if exists people. This is SQL statement. If exists, it's good because we don't want to collect any warnings in SQL. Doesn't make sense for us. So if exists, it's much better. So I want to remove table people from the database. Then next is to create table people, name, occupation. Default is text. Text is something like voucher. in MySQL, but it's just text, it's a type. It's default for any values. This is also a simple example. I will show you later how we can modify it, that it looks like much more efficient MySQL structure. But it is just a simple example. So the table is created, and we have two columns, name and occupation. Execute update means that this SQL statement is done automatically. So after this line, it means that the table was removed. After this line, the new structure exists. Two columns, text is a type per column, and the name is people. Of course, the content is empty. Then you can insert something. The best, for instance, something is not execute update, because if we want to add many records, much better is to create a pattern. This is a pattern. Insert into people values. First is for name, second is for occupation. So we can use in that structure. It means that this is a pattern, and now we have to add records. So prep is a prepared statement. This is a pattern for this, and now it doesn't look maybe very. It looks funny for me because this character means 1. The second column means 2. So prep.setString 1, it means the first column of the first record is Gandhi. The second column for the first record is politics. If this is created, we can use add batch. It means that we accept it. So the first record is added to this prepared statement. The same for the second, third, fourth, and fifth. Okay? But this statement is prepared with values, but it's not executed. It was just prepared. So if everything is okay and it was prepared successfully, we can call execute button prep, and then the data is as a one command sent to database. So this is example how we can use it. So I can run it. Okay, it was found, established, no information that was done, but only its information if something happened not good. So is it okay? Exercise SQLite 03 is the uses. So we can expect that after I run previous exercise, the structure is created, so I can just read the content of the database. First part is the same over times. The last part is the same over times. Driver connection and closing connection here. And now we can use another statement. Create statement. Statement is created. And execute query. Select asterisk from people. This is a query that will be sent to the database. It's another statement because we can collect results. Results are stored in result set. The result set inherits from the java.util set. So it's kind of set with results. So to go through the set, we can use arrays.next to go to next element in the set, because there is no order in set. So we can take from getString name. Now we are using the name of the column, name of the second column, and we can run it and we will see the result. Connection was established, name Gandhi, job, politics, etc. So we have 5 records. Okay. There is maybe much more complicated example. Okay. What will happen here? You can see that we can create two tables. User address. Drop table exists. User drop table exists. Address. And now this is a structure. Create table. User name text. Not null. Second name text. Null is accepted. Surname text not null. ID is integer not null. Primary key. So ID is a primary key. So now it looks much more like SQL than the previous examples. So it is much better. And now foreign key, user ID, reference, user ID, on delete cascade, on update cascade, so it should work. Depending, of course, on the driver. Okay, so we can create it. It was created, so okay, I can go to 3B, and I can select from user, name, second name. We will see ID. 3C is from address. Everything was created, and now 3D it's okay. It's select name, count name, number from user, group by name, order by number, descending and name. Are you familiar with SQL? Okay, very good. So you can see how many people you have in database. So it works. So you can do many different things. Select address ID, user ID, name, username, street, home, room from user left, join. So you can use joins also. Left join user ID, so you will see. So you can see that Paul Gray exists, but there is no addresses. Because it's left join on user, not on address. If an example similar, but this is left join. Okay. Now left join. Many different. Okay, what will happen when this is not needed now, but in some another version of SQL, it was very strange for me that sometimes foreign key doesn't work. Don't work why? Because we should set the foreign key on. But now it works, so there is no problem to use it. And now, okay, update user. You can retrieve the information using this, for instance. So this user was removed, one of them. We can recreate the structure. So you can follow and this example if you want and check what will happen. Delete from user. Okay, now this user is not removed. You can see this user after this was removed, so this user doesn't exist. Free edge, you can replace the number, you can go to 3B and see this ID here. What else? Just a moment. Okay, so you can see that it was successfully updated. So when I did update on the user, I changed the index, and this index is a foreign key for address, so everything is okay because in address it was updated also to 10101. Okay? So SQLite I think is really good for usage. Okay, much more complicated structure here. How to do this? Some is not. I think that it doesn't make sense to show you because I can jump from one to another. I know what I'm showing and you probably not. So the best idea is just to practice it. So I will store it on the web page. What else? Okay, so you know how to use Logger. I will send you the examples. You know general more or less how to use SQLite. You can just follow these examples. And maybe the interesting thing is also how to use threads here. Okay. Are you familiar with threads? Okay. If you are familiar with threads, so maybe much better is to go there. Okay, so are you familiar with executors also? Or no? So generally we don't want to use on our own threads because it doesn't make sense. Now much better is to create just executor. So we can just create like this example. You can look here. This is executor service. So it means that we can, how to say, something like some workers. So we can have executor.mean fixed thread pool. It means that we have 5 workers, 5 threads. That they are over time working. Okay. We can add task. It means algorithm for the system. So first available worker will do these things. It's much better because we don't need to manage the system. It's self-managed by Java, so it's much better. So you can see pool submit. Pool is the reference to executor service. Submit, we can submit. New task, what is new task? New task is this class that implements run enable. Implementing run enable means that we can create the algorithm for threads. So thread exists, it's a part of executors, and we will just send the algorithm, the thing that should be done by this thread. It means the content of the run enable. So run enable is interface. Run method must be implemented by us. So now we can submit task to this executor service. Okay, so I can see how it works. Thread 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it just that order. Now it's another because it's 5 workers working at the same time. Pull.shutdown now. It means that this service is stopped automatically. Generally, we don't want to do that, maybe when the user really wants to finish application. So we can check if all tasks are finished. If yes, we can call shutdown now. If not, we can inform the user that not all work is finished. Are we sure to finish? Yes or not? Okay?
So
it's much better.
Shutdown now is like forcing the system to shut down?
Yes, forcing the service.
Threads.
Yes. And shutdown now, finish it automatically. Much better is use pull shutdown. Pull shutdown means that, like in some bureau, it means that the key is locked, but all people who are working in a queue will be served. So we added some things to the service, and service will work until all work is finished. It's much better, so we can see 5 threads, we are still working. Another, and it finished automatically soon when the last is finished. 12. Okay. So we can see that it is much better to use pull shutdown. If shutdown method is called, it means that pull will not accept another task. Okay, so I think that fixed this fixed thread pull is the simplest approach, but if you want to create another service of pulls of thread, you can use another method on executors. You can create thread pull executor with some different elements. A runables is a queue, blocking queue runnable, new array blocking queue. How many? This is queue, maximum queue for this task. Then you can see 5 is core, pull size, 10 is maximum, keep alive when the thread is greater than the maximum. Okay, so sometimes we know that the action will continue more time. Maybe there is a problem because one thread is working for another, and it will be idle service. Yes, so it will never stop. So this is maximum time for keep alive this task to be done. After this, it is finished, but without result. So we don't need to manage it automatically because sometimes you can, if you are using threads on your own, you should stop it. It's not a good idea because of security reason, etc. So much better is use service for that.
Are those the default parameters, or did you choose?
I choose some of them. Time unit is 60, means 60 seconds because of time unit is second. It could be millisecond, minutes.
How should we choose the parameters that
You can try to guess what is better for your
depending
application.
on the app or the phone that they run on the system that runs the program?
I think that depending on what do you want to do, because if you want to download some content from web pages, so it's not good to have many connections to the same site because it will be treated as a maybe attack or something like that, and your application will be blocked. So it doesn't make sense to have too many. Depending on you, I think it's not. I can say you that okay, 1,000 threads is okay. If your computer is slow, doesn't make sense to have 1,000 threads working at the same time. Maybe 20, maybe 100. So it's up to you to choose the best parameters per your computer, per your application.
I think maybe I understand him differently. I think that he says dynamically how the program can adapt on the different computers, which is different strength or speed.
Okay.
No, I got my answer.
No, so we can use, for example, a program that runs different in PC and different in...
In fixed thread tool, you cannot, but here you can just think about 5 is a core size, but 10 is maximum. It means that if one action is longer, it takes more time, but many in other resources are working, another worker is added, but not more than 10, because 10 is maximum size. So it means that it will be dynamically changed from 5 till 10. So you can use something here. You can think about time per action, maybe 16 seconds, 1 minute is enough, maybe not. So in fixed thread tool, it's just a worker that wait for the job to done without any limits. It is not automatically changed. It is just very simple. Generally, it's enough for all our purpose, I think. But if you want to change something, yes, there is a possibility. You can use thread pool executor, and you can think about best parameters for your application. You can sometimes the best idea is just to test it and find the best. For one computer, 2 computers, maybe you can start from 5. I think that 5 to 10 generally was enough in my purpose. So I hope it will be the same for you. What else? Okay. Because new task, it's just object that we can submit to pool. In many cases, we want to know what happened. There are 2 possibilities. First possibility is not to use the task that is the class that implements a run label, but another task that implements call label. It's another approach, but the method is not run, but call. The difference is that run doesn't return any value, while call can return value. Everything is really good described in tutorial available on Oracle step by step, so I will not explain it more, but generally you can imagine that our application, our task can do something and collect some results, and we can get access to results. So after this, we will wait. So we can, but if we don't want to wait, you can use collabel, or you can do like in my example, you can create future. What is future? Future object informs about state of the task. So, new task, we can submit it, but you can see that after submit, the future is returning. Okay, so I can get the object of future and I can add it to the vector of future. So vector of future objects, I can add it. I can pull shutdown, so no any task could be added to this. And then I can print v, and I define this print that is here. Where is it? Just a moment. I want to print information about this vector. Okay, I'll run. I'll show it. Okay, there are some tasks. False mean that it doesn't finish. So I can sleep for some seconds, false, false. No one finished. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, first it's finished. This is also finished. So this is information taken from the this vector. Which task is finished? This is a state of it. Where is the print? I don't remember where this print was defined. Okay, you can observe what will happen here. Okay, oh yes, sorry, I'm probably with eyes. So print vector for future, system out future is done. Okay, so we can check per object, is it finished or not. But it doesn't solve situation if it is finished, so we can get the data from the object. Because the run method finished, but what happened in result? The only one possibility in that case is to create the field that will store this data. We can check if this task is finished. If yes, we can get access to the results stored in field. In Collabo, it means that we can just, if we call this method on the object, the program will wait until the call method finish of this object. But we can call it later. So we can get access to resources without storing it into some field. Okay, so we can see that this was not finished, but it was just done parallelly, so the service was working, and main do some attempts to test the vector of futures and see which was finished or not.
Can I ask something?
Okay.
This can be used in loading, for example, some graphics. In parallelly, you see some photos or text.
Mm-hmm.
For example, you made an application and you put the next button, and you need some time to load something. You can do this in this way, to load something while you are watching the text, for example.
But much better, I think, in that case, is use just swing worker. That is another. It is especially dedicated for this approach. But for swing worker, you can also change. I don't remember now, but it's probably 10 threads. Probably 10 threads is default. It uses fixed thread pool with, I don't remember, 10 or 5, sorry for that, threads that are working, but you can replace it by another pool. So you can add, you can create just button, and it will work using the threads of pool of threads, but you can, if it's a very complicated, very big program, you can decide to change default pool by your own for this swing worker. Okay. What else? This is just an example how we can download parallelly using a thread pool that is 8, 16, 16 seconds to enable. So we can try to run something. Okay, oh, sorry. Much better is to be connected to internet. Without this, it's not possible to download everything. Okay. So maybe now it will work better. So you can see I'm downloading some these web pages at the same time, how many characters was taken. This is information from this. With the string builder, I can change, I can count how many bytes was transferred, how many characters. I'm using here print, print from C language. Sometimes it's much better than print line and print. %D like in C. We can also have some long the size of the field like in And you can see final font, so probably this page doesn't exist. This is also a problem because also this page doesn't exist. Some code for this IO exception. Okay. Good. And the last part, I think, maybe I will not show you how to use now. Okay, I think it's enough maybe for this part, and I have a question: what do you want to do now? I can send it and you can practice it, or we can switch to another topic because it's 12:40. But it's up to you. Okay, so maybe the best idea is to do some short break, and I will try to take all these exercises and put it on the web page, okay? So we can start 18 minutes at 1, and I will send it. You can do on your own these exercises, and during this time you can say something about netlinks and graphics, and after that also something about Android. Okay?